Hi, everyone. I am with Anne Marie from The Accidental Hippie. I found her on Instagram when I finally joined a month ago. She's my favorite person to follow. So funny, mom of five. She's also very holistic minded as a mom, but she's also like myself had a journey that brought her there. She didn't start out that way. So today we are going to talk about your journey. I'd love if you wouldn't mind to tell us a little bit before you became a mom. What was your education and what was your career path?
So my education and my background is actually nursing. So I went to a school up in Minnesota, or I'm from Minnesota, and I went to college in Minnesota for a 4-year bachelor's of science in nursing. And I just dove right into the workforce afterwards. I worked for 2 years as a intraoperative orthopedic nurse. So worked in surgery on the orthopedic specialty. And then I had some goals and aspirations to go back to school, which meant I needed to transfer into an ICU setting. So the majority of my career was in the pediatric cardiac ICU. And it was very, very specialized, but I went there having goals to go back to school. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, my second, and just shifted from that, decided didn't want to do that anymore, wanted to be home. And that was kind of when we had started the journey of the holistic health stuff.
So, did you first get into the holistic thing through essential oils? I know that are you selling doTERRA?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
They're awesome.
How did
Yeah,
that come about?
they definitely were kind of a big gateway, but it was, after I had, so my kids I have a 9-year-old boy, 7-year-old girl, and then a 5, 3, and a 1-year-old, all boys. And it was with my firstborn that I really started realizing how much of like a chemical soup we are living in. And that was when I really started diving into it and making a shift. And then essential oils were introduced to me by my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, actually. And I thought they were complete voodoo. I wasn't taught about them in nursing school. And it really kind of blew my mind once I realized they're literally just organic chemistry. And we understand that these chemical compounds work in such a way, which is why essential oils work the way that they work for the body. And the fact that I think it's so funny we call alternative medicine alternative when it has been around for so long and utilized for centuries. And that was when I just dove right in to holistic health and food is medicine, eating healthy, that whole like platform of taking care of yourself in the many different avenues.
Are there any anecdotes you could share of positive effects from using the essential oils that you noticed right away?
Oh my gosh, so many. I think what's brilliant about them is the fact that they can just empower you as a mom or as a person in so many different ways. I think even though I was a nurse, sometimes when your kid gets sick, like my medical stuff goes out the window and I'm like, I don't know what to do. What's happening? And so there was a lot of nervousness initially, which now I realize was probably postpartum anxiety. But once we had the oils, it was, at 2 a.m. when someone starts throwing up, it's not that, oh man, nobody's open, I don't know what to do. I had tools in my toolbox that I could help support them in a natural way that was powerful and effective. And that's been the game changer for me. And anytime I have so many stories with my family of getting over stuff or just having the oils and healthy food just helps support your body because your body wants to feel good. It wants to get well. And I have so many stories of how they've been impactful on us that we've avoided having to go to the doctor's office, things like that. Like it's just been a game changer.
I love it. I used some oils when my son had hand, foot, and mouth. He didn't get it as bad as the other kids, and I don't know if it's because we eat very healthy, but yeah, we used a little bit and it cleared up in a day. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You sell oils full time from home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recently retired from the bedside. Um, I never thought that I would. I loved what I did. I loved working with those little heart warriors. Congenital heart disease is something that a lot of people don't realize is a world that exists until you dive into it. And I have such a massive love and appreciation for modern medicine. It is obviously needed in many situations. But there's a beautiful time and a place also for natural solutions. And so I loved what I did at the hospital. I didn't think that I wanted to retire ever. But then after we had our fifth, we decided to homeschool as well. And it was just time for me to walk away. And I didn't want to, society is so used to this one line of you go to school, you go to college, get your degree, you work until you're 60, and then you can retire and live your life. And what I do is definitely different and a little off the rails, but it was a shift that we wanted to make happen. And I'm thankful that I was able to do that because of doTERRA.
I love that. As much as, the internet has brought a lot of complications to our lives, it's also brought amazing opportunities so far beyond what any of our ancestors had at their fingertips. And
100%.
I love what you're doing over on IG because you're just keeping us laughing. You're giving us education, giving us as moms some encouragement that it's okay when things are, a little cray cray. Like, that's how it is, and just have fun. How is homeschool going, by the way? Are you getting into the feel of it, or?
Well, we've gotten through our first year.
Okay.
I went into it like I knew I had to just throw out my own expectations, especially because our youngest, Christopher, was so little. And a lot of, I had this idea of what it would be like. And then we just had to completely scrap that. And that's okay. And, it worked. The kids loved it. They want to continue doing it, which I think speaks volumes. I mean, I asked them if they wanted to go back to school and they said no. So I think that it's working for us right now, and we'll do it again next year and just hope that it continues to improve and they have fun with it.
I'm so glad that they are having a good time. I have a personality that can roll with the punches. So I feel like I would be like you, where it's like, okay, that didn't work. Let's just try something else. But also like wanting to feel in to make sure, each kid is getting their needs met. And if they want to go back to school, like, let's talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it is it's getting to know my kids on a different level. And it's just been such a blessing and so fun. And I was worried about some of my relationships with them, but I really do think that they're thriving, and it's making me become a better person and mom. And that was one of my big goals. Was I know that I'm going to grow and learn from it as well, and that's just such a blessing.
I love that too, that growth mindset. I'm trying to like think that way about every problem that shows up in my life as a mom. Like, okay, how can I grow? How is this helping me become a better person? Also, so you do include your kids a little bit on IG. How do you feel about that? How do you navigate that? I'm always a little like, I don't know if I want to put my kid on the internet, but I love your thoughts.
Yeah, that, everybody chooses differently. There are some. Everybody chooses differently, and fully respects what other people choose. And it was definitely, I've had some insecurity about it, but mostly they really love it. They love making the videos. They love when we get to make a funny reel or something like that. And so it's fun. Plus it's just, showing your real life, and my real life is with a whole bunch of kids.
I think that's so sweet. I could totally see how they would love it. You must be such a fun mom. I think from the outside looking in, those of us who are moms, we really love to see your whole family. It's so beautiful. I'm actually curious, since you have 5, like, what's your philosophy on having children? And I'm Catholic, so I'm obviously very pro large families, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on what it's like to have so many, especially all those boys.
Yeah, seriously. We are also Catholic, and we love all the babies. We are huge pro-life advocates, and we're just very thankful that we're able to have kids. I think that it's interesting in your 20s, there's so many people who are like trying to not get pregnant and then they want to get pregnant and it's not happening. And it's just, I don't think people realize how much of a blessing fertility is. And I grew up with two much older brothers. And so I was kind of like an only child. And then my husband is one of six. So he had a big family, and my husband and I actually went to high school together. We were not high school sweethearts, but we were very good friends all through high school and college. And in our high school, a lot of our like classmates had big families as well. And I just was so jealous of these like sister bonds that people had, and they just had so much fun together with their big families. And we both wanted a big family. And let's see, on my husband's side of the family, the 29th grandchild was just born. So there's lots of babies. So we're very thankful. We'll take all the babies.
I love it. Yes, obviously I'm super pro-life too. And I am working on the husband factor before I have any more. But I did choose life for my son that I was not planning to have. So
beautiful. Congrats. Like I honor you for that, because that is a huge thing. And I just honor you for that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. He's such a blessing, and I realized like he was worth any sacrifices. He's also, kids are an investment. Like they're going to grow as you get older, and they're going to be caring for you. So, we have to do a good job. Yeah, I have a lot of friends who struggle with infertility, and it's such a heavy cross. Some of them have been able to adopt, some of them haven't gone that route. But have you seen any essential oil things that help people deal with any kind of infertility? I'm sure it's not a fix-all for everything, but maybe like balancing hormones or anything like that. It's okay if you haven't, but I'm curious.
Yeah, no, there definitely is. Fertility, there's so many different things that you have to like navigate with that, because it's not just a woman, it's a man as well. And I think a lot of women bear that cross so heavily when it takes two to tango. And so really helping support both sides, hormone balancing, there's definitely some options for that. A lot of people really need like a cleanse. And I know there's a lot of providers that can walk through some of that as well, but there's so many different aspects of fertility that it's a hard one. It really is a cross to bear. I appreciate that analogy. And I remember like, once you have a kid and you go in for your like 6-week checkup, the one time they check you out, they always ask like, what's your birth control? And I remember looking at my doctor once and saying, my fertility is not a disease that I need to like inhibit. I'm very thankful for it. And so, yeah, I'm not going to take any pills, but thank you.
Amen. So oils could just be a part of your overall health journey to support you, and they smell good. So that helps you feel better.
Yeah, the dramatic and emotional benefits from that are amazing. But yeah, there are definitely things that can help balance hormones and that regulation. And yeah, there's some options out there.
And some detoxifying things as well. Yeah. Okay, I think for our final topic, we'll talk about something a little controversial in our culture, especially today with COVID, is vaccinations, but we got to talk about it. So, I've had a personal journey where I was injured by a flu vaccine, and I'm still dealing with the symptoms from it. So that made me do a lot of homework before I ever even had a child. And so I'm very much pro vaccine choice. The parents should be free to make the choice they think's best for their own child. And of course, even though I don't vaccinate my son, he's very healthy, and I'm very conscious to keep his immune system strong and of what I'm feeding him, and that, not exposing him to chemicals and different things, just to try to give him optimal health in case he encounters any major, illnesses that we don't want him to have. So, are you support vaccine choice as well? Is there any reason why you feel strongly about that?
Well, a little bit of backstory, I guess, is that, I was the nurse and the medical professional that thought you were nuts for not vaccinating. Like I thought people were crazy. Why would you not want to do that? And then we had A situation where my oldest, again, didn't realize I had postpartum anxiety. I had massive anxiety when I went back to work. He had gotten sick, I had gotten sick, and I had a breakout of shingles. And he ended up getting chicken pox from me. No big deal. But then came to one of his well child checkups and they were like, oh, he needs the varicella. And I said, but he's already had chicken pox. And they're like, oh no, it's not good enough, whatever. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not how this works. And so then we left there. And that's when I started really like diving down the rabbit hole and questioning and realizing myself even, I had this like kind of big ego of I know better, I've been educated. Oh wait, sidebar, I actually really wasn't taught anything about vaccinations in nursing school. Nothing. In pharmacology, we had to learn all of the mechanisms of action and adverse reactions and all these things about medications that we were giving, but I don't remember anything about vaccinations. And we just were not taught that. And so that right there, I was like, well, wait a minute, something like things just started to not add up. Once I put my ego aside and I had my own kid here, I started really kind of diving into the questions. And it's just so important to find a provider that will have a conversation with you. You are injecting something into your child. You have every right to know what is in it, what the risks are, what the benefits are, what are the big things you want to look out for, right? You are allowed to have a conversation. And if somebody is not willing to have a conversation with you, find a new doctor. Like if I'm so sick and tired of doctors being condescending and not having those conversations with parents. And parents deserve that. Your kids deserve that. I am totally for health choice and medical freedom. I want people to feel good about whatever choice they decide. And it's an individual one, right? But I just want you to feel good about it. And if you don't feel good about it, it's okay to ask questions. And I think people are so used to just going with the doctor and feeling like they're intimidated or can't ask questions. And that's not okay. And so I was really blessed to find a provider in my area where he has done a ton of research and he sat down with us and I just laid it all out. I had all my fears and concerns on the table and he just spoke to us like adults, like we were equals. and he just sat back and he's like, all right, you have the information. Now you get to decide. And I'm so sick and tired of like the anti-label, because the reality is a lot of people who are not wanting to vaccinate are people who've had a child or themselves have been injured. And so they question that. And it's just such a negative connotation. I'm just so tired of it. So I'm all about the pro-freedom.
Yes, and I think that's why we have to talk about it too, because I've seen, you know, hundreds and hundreds of stories online of moms who have had stories of an injured child, and it's really hard when people don't believe you, as their mother who is keenly aware of their development and when something changes. And I think also, you know, I work in the education sphere as my day job, and I see not just, you know, the kids I work with don't have autism. I know that tends to be the conversation, is the link with autism. But I see my kids have seizure disorders. They have high anxiety. They have really scary food sensitivities where they go into anaphylactic shock. It's like there's such a wide range of reactions that can be triggered just depending on the person and their whole internal state, you know?
Oh yeah, the genetics behind it. I mean, it's such a wide variety. It can be a little thing, it can be a big thing. It can be death. Like death is a side effect that is listed, a potential side effect that is listed. And what's so interesting to me is you're right. A lot of people do like the autism conversation on it, but there really is so much more. And what's so interesting to me is that a lot of those things that you mentioned, we've now just decided that that's quote unquote normal childhood issues. And thinking about it, do we really know what normal child looks like anymore, because we are injecting moms while they're pregnant. We are injecting a baby a couple hours after they're born. Do we know what normal is anymore? Like, we don't, where's the baseline? And so it's interesting that a lot of these childhood things like ear infections, allergies, all this stuff is just, oh, it's just normal kid stuff, just normal kid stuff. Should it be though? I don't know. Questions.
Yes, we must ask questions. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today. Of course, if there's anything you want to add, you are more than welcome.
Oh, God. I don't think so. I just,
Okay.
it's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to ask questions. Don't back down. And you get to fight for your kids. It's your family. And I wish everybody the best and courage, and continue being a freedom keeper.
Amen. Um, if you guys want to get into doTERRA essential oils, which are amazing, or even possibly selling them and doing your own work from home situation, feel free to reach out to Anne-Marie and definitely follow her. She's inspiring and hilarious on the Accidental Hippie on Instagram.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.